Before we dive into the deep, dark waters of our story, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to Beyond the Plot for more great stories and in-depth explorations of the movies, games, books, and TV shows you love. And hate, don't forget to drop a comment below with what you'd like me to explore next. Now grab your scuba gear because we're about to plunge into one of the most iconic and terrifying films in cinematic history, Jaws. Released in 1975 and directed by a then-up-and-coming filmmaker named Steven Spielberg, Jaws is a movie that not only changed the way people saw the ocean but also revolutionized Hollywood itself. It's hard to believe that a film that experienced so many production setbacks and mechanical failures would become a summer blockbuster, the first of its kind, and cement itself as a pop culture phenomenon. The story takes place in the small, sleepy town of Amity Island, a picturesque New England coastal community. The town's main source of income is its booming summer tourism, with people flocking to the beach to soak up the sun and swim in the cool waters. But as we're about to find out, those waters aren't as safe as they seem. Our journey begins on a calm summer evening when a group of young adults, drunk and carefree, decide to take a swim in the ocean. Chrissy Watkins, a beautiful young woman, leads the charge. She strips down and dives into the water, swimming further and further from the shore, unaware of the danger lurking beneath. Her peaceful swim quickly turns into a nightmare. We hear the iconic to-note theme that signals the shark's presence, an almost primal heartbeat that tells us something is coming. Before Chrissy can even react, she's violently yanked beneath the surface. Her screams pierce the night air as she is tossed around like a ragdoll before vanishing beneath the waves, leaving nothing behind but the eerie silence of the ocean. The next morning, her body washes ashore, a grisly discovery that sets the film's central conflict in motion. Enter Chief Martin Brody, a no-nonsense lawman who has recently moved to Amity with his family. Played by Scheider, Brody is a grounded, relatable character who serves as the audience's guide through the escalating terror. Despite being a police chief on an island, Brody is afraid of water, a fear that adds layers to his character as the plot unfolds. When Chrissy's remains are found, Brody immediately suspects a shark attack. He's new to Amity, but he has the instincts of a seasoned cop, and he knows that something sinister is afoot. However, Brody's attempts to close the beaches are met with resistance from Mayor Larry Vaughn and the town's business owners. Vaughn, in particular, is more concerned with keeping the tourist dollars flowing than the potential danger lurking in the ocean. It's 4th of July weekend, the busiest time of the year, and the idea of closing the beaches could ruin the town's economy. Vaughn, ever the politician, insists that Chrissy's death was a boating accident, downplaying Brody's concerns. Reluctantly, Brody allows the beaches to remain open, though he secretly keeps an eye on the waters, his anxiety gnawing at him. And as you've probably guessed, Brody was right to worry. Just a few days later, a young boy named Alex Kintner is attacked by the shark in broad daylight. The scene is horrifying. One moment, Alex is floating on his raft, and the next, the water is stained with blood as the shark drags him under. The attack happens in full view of the beachgoers, causing mass panic. The town can no longer deny the reality. There's a killer shark in their waters. Driven by grief and rage, Alex Kintner's mother offers a bounty to anyone who can kill the shark, spurring a frenzy among local fishermen. The town descends into chaos as amateur hunters flood the waters, eager to claim the reward. Among the confusion, we're introduced to one of the film's most memorable characters, Matt Hooper, a marine biologist played by Richard Dreyfuss. Hooper is passionate, intelligent, and fascinated by sharks. He teams up with Brody to investigate the situation further, and after examining Chrissy Watkins' remains, he confirms what Brody already knew: it's a shark attack, no doubt about it. Soon after, a group of fishermen catch a massive tiger shark and proudly display it as the culprit. The town celebrates, believing the nightmare is over. But Hooper isn't convinced. He knows tiger sharks aren't responsible for the type of bite marks found on the victims. Despite the mayor's protests, Hooper convinces Brody to help him examine the shark's stomach to be sure. They don't find any human remains inside, which means the real predator is still out there. With the beaches still open and the shark still on the loose, the tension builds. Brody's fear of water is constantly tested, but his sense of duty keeps pushing him forward. Then comes another brutal attack. This time, the shark claims the life of a boater in a nearby pond. The scene is gut-wrenching as Brody's own son witnesses the attack and nearly becomes a victim himself. This is the final straw for Brody. He demands that the mayor take action, and Vaughn, now faced with undeniable evidence, finally agrees to hire a professional to deal with the shark. Enter Quint, a grizzled shark hunter played by Robert Shaw. Quint is as rough around the edges as they come a man who's lived his life on the sea, with a deep hatred for sharks. He's charismatic in a gruff, intimidating way, and his introduction immediately sets him apart as a character to be reckoned with. Quint agrees to hunt the shark, but only under his terms, and so begins the iconic trio of Brody, Hooper, and Quint as they set out on the Orca, Quint's small, rickety fishing boat. This marks a shift in the film's tone. Where the first half is filled with escalating dread and terror, the second half is an intense, almost adventure-like pursuit of the monster. As they venture out to sea, the shark makes its presence known in terrifying ways, testing the men's resolve. They try various tactics to catch the creature, from using barrels to harpoon it, and track its movements to baiting it with chum. But this shark, this massive, nearly 25-foot great white, is unlike anything they've ever encountered. It's cunning, relentless, and far more dangerous than they expected. During one of the film's most memorable scenes, the three men share stories over drinks, bonding as they prepare for the final confrontation with the shark. Quint recounts his harrowing experience aboard the USS Indianapolis, a real-life naval disaster where hundreds of men were left stranded in shark-infested waters. Quint's tale is chilling, giving us insight into his deep-rooted hatred for sharks and adding a somber, reflective moment to the otherwise high-stakes adventure. But the peace doesn't last. The shark strikes again, damaging the Orca and forcing the men into a desperate fight for survival. The tension escalates as the boat begins to sink, and it becomes clear that their only chance of survival is to kill the shark once and for all. In the film's climactic showdown, Quint meets a grizzly, and as the shark drags him into the water, devouring him in a horrifying display of the predator's raw power, Brody and Hooper are left to face the beast alone, with the boat barely holding together. Hooper dives into the water in a shark cage, hoping to inject the shark with poison, but the plan goes awry when the shark destroys the cage. Hooper barely escapes, hiding at the bottom of the ocean, while Brody is left to face the creature on his own. In the final moments, Brody, who has feared the water all along, is forced to confront the shark in its own domain. With the Orca sinking, he climbs onto the ship's mast and, armed with a rifle, takes aim at a pressurized scuba tank that has become lodged in the shark's mouth. In a triumphant moment, Brody fires a shot, hitting the tank and causing it to explode, finally killing the shark in a spectacular explosion of water and blood. As the remains of the shark sink to the ocean floor, Brody breathes a sigh of relief. Hooper resurfaces, and the two men, battered but alive, paddle back to shore on makeshift floats. The ordeal is over, and the town of Amity is safe once more, at least for now. Jaws is more than just a thriller about a shark. It's a masterclass in suspense, blending human drama with primal fear. Spielberg's use of music, particularly John Williams' iconic score, builds tension to near unbearable levels, while the characters' personal struggles make the story feel grounded and real. The film taps into a universal fear of the unknown, of what lurks beneath the surface, and it does so with an expert balance of horror and adventure. So there you have it, the thrilling, heart-pounding story of Jaws, a film that changed the way people looked at the ocean, introduced the concept of the summer blockbuster, and remains a cultural touchstone nearly 50 years later. If you enjoyed this dive into the depths of Jaws, make sure to like and subscribe to Beyond the Plot for more deep dives into the films, games, books, and TV shows you love. And don't forget to drop a comment below with what story you'd like me to explore next.